Today is about the beauty that they were and forever will remain, right here and right here. Today we choose to celebrate that beauty, that light that exuded from within them before we lost them so tragically to death by suicide from pain.
My name is Kevin Hines. I jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. I believed that I had to die, but I lived. Now I help people be here tomorrow.
Cheers. You guys, it is so good to be here tonight with all of you. I'm grateful that everyone who came out did. I appreciate it, but I have to recognize something that's very important right here, right now. You guys, we have to do something. We have to do something right now, and we have to do it together. Because I can't just begin this presentation. We have to start with a moment of silence for those of us who have lost people we love to death by suicide from pain. In my short 36 years on this beautiful planet, I've lost 7 people I love to death by suicide from lethal emotional pain. Today, my friends, is not about the way they died. And today is not about the day they died. Today is about the beauty that they were and forever will remain, right here and right here. Today we choose to celebrate that beauty, that light that exuded from within them before we lost them so tragically to death by suicide from pain. Today we choose to honor their memory and to hold immeasurable gratitude for the little time we had with them. I celebrate the lives of those I've lost to death by suicide from pain, and I do it with family and friends who love them just as much as I do. I believe the only way to properly grieve a suicide is together, without blame, and with no guilt. It doesn't belong to you. They didn't die because of you. They didn't die in spite of you. They died because of an epic and unrelenting, lethal emotional pain that had, I promise, nothing to do with you. So tonight, let's honor their memory. Let's celebrate the beauty that they were. And you guys should celebrate their lives like I celebrate my people I've lost. I do it with gluten-free cake and a candle because that's how I roll. Okay? All right? Let's honor them. Let's celebrate them. And let us right now take a very serious moment of silence for all of those that we have lost to suicide from pain. And I promise you, I'm sorry for your losses. That moment of silence starts right now. He is ancient, yet ageless. He is ticking, yet timeless. He runs, not hunted. He chases. He is a man of many faces. He is the darkness. I am the light. I may be cracked, but I will never be broken. I wrote that limerick in 8th grade about the intense duality I had felt inside since 4th grade. In 4th grade, I began to hear voices in my head, seemingly not that of my conscience. Auditory hallucinations in 4th grade. Murmurs in my head. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but they were angry and they hated me. Do you think a 4th grader told his parents that he heard voices other than his conscience in his head? No. I buried it. Because I didn't know what to say. How does a 4th grade kid, a child, tell mom and dad that he hears voices in his head that aren't anybody he recognizes, knows, or loves? He doesn't. He's quiet about it. The voices would go away. But they would return in full force at 17 and a half years of age on a stage at Archbishop Reardon High School on Phelan Avenue in San Francisco, California. The voices that would return at 17 and a half would be loud, vicious, and they would be clearly hating me and wanting my demise. Voices not that of my conscience, it seems, voices I don't recognize as anyone I've known or loved, male voices in my head, telling me things I have to do that I don't want to. Telling me I'm useless, that I have no value, that I'm a burden to everyone who loves me, and that I have to take my life by these 2 hands. At 17 and a half years of age, I stood on a stage at Reardon High School, stage right, which is my left, right over here. looking out into an audience of what was 1,200 individuals, not one seat was open. And I stood there, standing on that stage, playing the role of Gatch in the show How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. I was a theater kid. Any theater kids in the building? Yes. What did the rest of you do with your time? Anyway. And so, I'm a theater kid, I'm playing the character Gatch. Now, if you know Gatch from How to Succeed, you know that Gatch was a philandering businessman. He was that guy who had a wife at home, but he was messing around with all the secretaries. He was a jerk. And my friend said I played him well, I can appreciate that. Anyway, and so I'm on that stage, and I'm wearing one of my father, Patrick Kevin Hines, as I'm John Kevin Hines. I'm wearing Patrick's old suit and tie. Now, Patrick Kevin Hines is 6'1". I realize you have no idea that I'm not 6'1". You couldn't tell. I know you couldn't tell because I'm a very tall 5'7". Why are you laughing? 5'7" and a quarter, that's a real thing. I'm a very tall person. Anyway, I'm on that stage, wearing my father's old suit and tie that they sort of hemmed to fit me, okay? And I'm on that stage, I'm playing that character, and it hits me like a Mack truck barreling down the road at 100 miles an hour. Now, I've been acting erratically for months. I had been clearly unwell, unhinged. But on that stage, I had a wave of extreme paranoid delusion come over me. I began to believe that the 1,200 people in that audience were there to do one thing: kill me. Let's stop right there. What would y'all do if you thought 1,200 people were coming to kill you? Any audible answer will do. Go. Run. Someone said first over here. Who was it? You said run. Miss, what's your name? Anne. Congratulations, you win the prize. And there's no prize. But you're a winner, and that's what counts. All right, Anne, thank you. So I run off stage, I run to the lobby where I met with my Mr. John Fennell. John Fennell was the theater director at Archbishop Gordon High School. He was a failed actor, turned high school thespian director. And he was a terrible actor, but he was the best teacher I would ever know until today. And John Fennell was tough. If you ever did anything other than what John Fennell told you to do on stage, he'd take his left thumb, he'd place it in the right corner pocket of his mouth, he'd pop it out, making a loud, echoing, popping sound in the theater, and he would say this: "Hines, that's the sound of your head coming out of your..." Anyway, that's what John Fennell would do. He would end that sentence every time, by the way, and he would say it often, because I often did things he didn't want me to do on stage. Anyway, so John sits me down in the theater treasurer's chair, which was very fitting, because at the time I was the theater treasurer, the kid with no conceptual math skills. It was a bad idea to make me theater treasurer. The books were always wrong. I blame John. And he sits me down in the theater treasurer chair. By the way, I was the theater treasurer. You know how I got to be the theater treasurer? I ran unopposed, and I won like a champion. Some of you missed that over here. Nobody ran against me. Okay, focus right here. All right, so John sits me down in the theater treasurer's chair, and he says, "Hines, can you please finish the performance? It's not even intermission yet. What are you doing?" And I just babbled incoherent nonsense for the next 10 minutes. I couldn't make out 3 words in a row that made sense without stuttering or stammering. That would last 2 months. I could not speak. John would call my mom. Deborah Joan Hines. Let's talk about Debbie Hines. Debbie Hines is a consummate optimist. The kind of optimism that's annoying. Mom, it's not that great of a day. Stop smiling and calm down, you know? I was a 7, 8-year-old kid coming home from grade school, okay? And I'd come home crying because the older kids, the 8th graders, would pick up a 7, 8-year-old, turn him upside down, and place him in a garbage can, face first, because I wasn't all white. I'd come home crying. This would be Debbie Hines. Hand to her hip, and she'd do this. "Oh, honey." And when she does this, it makes sense because she has hair. "Oh, honey." "Oh, well." "No, Mom, it's very serious. There are banana peels in the garbage. It's not an "oh, well" situation. "Oh, honey." You come home a few years later, I would, okay, at 13, 14 years of age, playing Little League Baseball. Who played Little League Baseball? Come on, there we go, that's what I'm doing. What are the rest of you doing with your time? Okay. And so I played Little League Baseball, and I was the 4th round cleanup hitter. You know what that means? That means the bases are loaded, and it's my job to bring home the grand slam and the win. We lose, probably because of that awful swing. Anyway, we lose, but who do they blame? Me. So I come home crying, Debbie Hines. "Oh, honey. Que sera, sera." Which, if you don't know already, is a Spanish song. It means what will be, will be. She would sing every lyric to the entire song every time there was a problem. But thank you, Mom, for the optimism it rubbed off. And that was Debbie Hines, always finding the light at the end of the tunnel. And Debbie Hines, my mom, she would teach me one of the greatest and most valued life lessons I would ever learn. Debbie Hines would teach me to always be kind, compassionate, loving, caring, empathetic, and non-judgmental to every single person you come into contact with, no matter their behavior, their religious affiliation or none, their ethnic makeup, who they loved or didn't, their religious affiliation or none. She taught me to be empathetic to every individual, no matter what they looked like or acted like or the way they behaved, because she taught me that behavior is learned. It's not something you're born with. You're not born hating people. But in my grade school, they treated me like they hated me because I wasn't all white. They got behind me and pulled my ears from behind me and whistled and yelled, "Whistle, little N-word whistle." They got behind me and they held me from behind here, and my careers would punch me in the gut here so no one would see the bruises. That's what I went through. But that's a whole other story we don't have time for. And Debbie Hines picks me up from Archbishop Reardon High School when my brain broke. And I'll never forget the look in her eyes as she gazed into mine, because I could clearly see that she could see within mine the depths of insanity brewing behind them. She very soon thereafter called my first psychiatrist meeting. I met this guy, Dr. J. Kevin Rist. Now I have this weird feeling that my mom only picked J. Kevin Rist because his name is J. Kevin and my name is J. Kevin, which is not how you pick a psychiatrist. But to be fair, they said Dr. Rist was one of the best in the field. Everyone said it. His apprentice, his secretary, people we didn't know. Dr. Rist would tell me every single session himself. He would do this. He would say, Kevin. He would always do that. Kevin. Isn't that annoying? Let's do it again. Kevin. I'm one of the best in the field. Yes, Dr. Rist, you told me that the last 17 times. What a humble man. Anyway, Dr. Rist who wore V-neck sweaters every day that were too bright.
If this video helped you, inspired you, or you think it could help someone you know, please take a second to share this video. Your share could save a life. And whatever you do, fight to be well. Be here tomorrow.